Made in Malacañang, film review by Political Tambay. After all the hype and headlines, watching Made in Malacañang on its first showing day in cinemas was non-negotiable. We wanted to get a first-hand look at the much talked-about film that has been making waves and controversies even before it was released. Coming into the theater, we can't help but feel a bit anxious. Will the film live up to its viral status? Will it be worth the 300 peso movie ticket and the risk of catching COVID in a crowded cinema? We chose a 2:45 p.m. screening at an SM cinema, hoping to avoid large crowds, but we were still surprised that the theater was full, with only a few random seats left empty. Judging from the chatter before the film started, we could feel the same agitation and excitement in the air. As the lights dimmed and the opening notes of Nosy Balasi filled the theater, all our preconceptions and doubts vanished. If you're expecting a political thriller or historical biopic, this is not it. While based on true accounts, this is not about flipping the EDSA narrative at all. It is not to glorify the first family nor to make them heroes. So all the fuss about historical revisionism, as far as we can see, is much ado about nothing. What you'll get instead is a powerful tearjerker that exposes the Marcoses at their most vulnerable during their last 72 hours in Malacañang. Even if you're apathetic about the Marcoses, you will still be moved by how Direct Daryl Yap created an intimate portrait of the family in their final moments of power. The film made us realize that with so much written about the Marcoses, there are still so many things we don't know about their personal lives at that point in history. Imelda Marcos, played by the perfectly cast Rufa Gutierrez, is not the caricature that we've always seen with big hair and extravagant shoes. She is a mother who was heartbroken for her family, including the staff in the palace who have served them for years. Cesar Montano, who played President Ferdinand Marcos, was able to show us a different side of the strongman, one that is frail, human, and ultimately fearful not for only his family but for the country as well. We appreciated that Bongbong Marcos, played by Diego Loizaga, was not portrayed as a goody two-shoes son. Instead, he was shown as a young man who was still trying to find his footing and define his role in the family. References to his partying and clubbing in his younger years only cemented that this film is not a whitewashed portrayal of the new president. The controversial Ella Cruz, we feel, was given her own moment. In one of her scenes where she was acting with Montano, she was able to hold her own and prove that all the bashing these past several weeks are worth it for this career-defining role. While we first suspected that the three maids, Carla Estrada, Elizabeth Oropesa, and Beverly Salviejo, are the titular characters of the film, their roles turned out to be more of a supporting nature. But this is not to say that they did not shine in their own ways. These three veterans were the thread not only brought the film together, but also added light-hearted moments to sustain our attention. But the true breakout star of Made in Malacañang is none other than Christine Reyes, who played Amy Marcos. This was definitely Amy's story of how, as a firstborn daughter, she tried to keep her family together as the world around them crumbled. We also like how the film integrated real footage from the EDSA revolution to drive the story and lend it an authentic feel. But this was well balanced by creative decisions to still craft an entertaining experience. We were particularly and pleasantly surprised with Direct Daryl's masterful use of visual metaphors in this film, which was so much different from his past works. Known for his your-face super literal style of filmmaking evident in Joeable, Porn Star, and Being Sentiment shorts, which we all watch, Yap has definitely grown as a director with Made in Malacañang. Some scenes that stood out for us include the retazo scene that alluded to the nation's unity, the last dance of Imelda and FEM, while Malacañang was being trashed, signified how all that they have built was being destroyed, and of course the how infamous Mahjong scene. The Mahjong scene was towards the end of the movie, and we felt that the entire scene including the dialogue was an excellent metaphor of how the EDSA revolution is in itself a power play, a game where the players not only included politicians, but also the Catholic Church. Is the film perfect? That's too generous of a statement, but it's very well done. The film is not a hagiography of the Marcoses, but it shows them in a more human light without completely absolving them of their sins. Made in Malacañang shows us that no matter how much of a villain you're portrayed to be, no matter how much people hate you, at the end of the day, you're still human. You still bleed, you still feel pain, and you are still capable of love. It is a story of family, of love, and hope, and that's something we can all root for. Do we recommend watching Maid in Malacañang? Absolutely. Not just for the 31 million who voted for BBM, but for every Filipino who wants to see our country's dark past in a new light.